Hey there, Sart here, back again. We're going to take down the Shadow Corrupted Machine. Like I mentioned at the end of my last video, you can probably tell right away by looking at my score that I do not have Rikku. And so I will not be taking part in the Rikku shenanigans. I don't have one, so I can't. But I figure this provides a nice opportunity to put out a video for those of you that don't have Rikku, but you'd still like to try and take down this boss and, try and get a respectable score. I'm going to show you what I did. This is just my initial team that I took in there to try and get the best score that I could. I might play around with some other teams. I've got a few ideas for some other teams I could try, but I'm gonna show you this one, because I think honestly this is probably the best I can do. I don't have a bunch of Dazzling Demoness cards, so I can't throw in a bunch of Meteor users. I don't have Magic Boost Plus, so I'm not going to be using any Meteor users. So I'm going with a purely physical damage team on this one. All right, so let's get in here and see how we get this done. So here's the team. I'm going to cover the gear at the end because there is a little bit of RNG with this boss. Like, it doesn't do a set attack pattern. There is a bit of RNG with its attack. There's also a bit of RNG with crystal drops on this one, because we need to get Wilk's LB filled up again on turn 2, and that's a little bit random. I've tried to minimize the randomness as much as possible with gear and with Esther's counters and things like that. But there is still just a smidge of RNG on that, that Wilk might not have his LB filled on turn 2. And so just in case something goes wrong, I might have to restart the recording. So I will show you the gear at the end as long as everything is successful. All right, but this is the team that we're going with. Let's get in there and see how we get this done. All right. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to shift Esther out of Brave Shift. All right, she has her TMR equipped in Brave Shift form so that she's going to auto cover, because we're only expecting some single target physical attacks on this turn, which she will cover and evade. All right, now Esther will do double bolting slice, and we'll just give Quantum Storm to somebody. It's just so, because we don't want to do too much damage. We want to do just enough damage to push the 90% threshold on this boss, because if you just sit at 100% or above 90%, the boss is going to do a dispel every single turn. So you have to go ahead and on turn 1 you got to go ahead and just push the 90% threshold, and that way it won't dispel your team every turn. And so we're going to have 2B do a double True Charge Spear for the Machine Killers and a Void. We're just setting them up. We're not going to do them yet. The first action is actually going to be Wilk to go ahead and do his Brave Shifted LB. He started in his normal form with the Obsidian Bracer. That's for the attack and mag breaks, because that's the only attack and mag break we're going to have for the entire fight. So then he shifts, does his LB, because we want him to grab every single LB Chris that drops from this boss. Next thing we're going to do is we are going to do Shelga and then double Flood. The Shelga is for Esther, just for some, because there is going to be a magic attack that happens later on that she will be covering. It shouldn't deal enough damage to affect our damage taken score, but that Shelga ensures that she's got some magic mitigation to help that. The double Flood is just to help with some Chris drops, and also to do the 135% water imperil. We're not going to imbue anybody yet. However, 2B is wielding a water elemental katana, just so we can do enough damage here to push that 90% threshold. Chizuru is going to go ahead and start singing I Wanted to Go With You. This is that, what's his name's STMR that got fixed, so that she will sing for 3 turns and then do the 300% LB buff for the remainder of the fight. So she'll be back on turn 4 to start doing some actions. Cloud is, again, we're just doing as much LB drop as we can for Wilk. So Cloud's just going to hit this triple focus strike, just try and get some LB to drop. Looks like it's already dropped all of its crits. All right, no worries. So now 2B and Esther will chain it up. Should do like between 10 and 12%. Whew, that's more than I wanted to do. But it's okay. Now everyone needs to be stop resistant for that move right there. When you first push that, it does an AoE stop. So make sure everyone has, if they're not innately immune to stop, make sure that everyone has stop resist. All right, so Wilk is pretty close. That's actually really good. He is wearing Dragon's Brush in his Brave Shift form, so when he shifts, he gets that extra, I think it's like 7 or 8 LB fill on top of his normal LB fill there. So now 2B is also wearing Aurora Scarf. So she's going to do a normal attack here, and her normal attack does an AoE 5 LB fill. So it's going to happen twice, so that's 10 LB fill there. So that should get Wilk nice and full. Perfect. All right, now Wilk can do his Cloud style Hurricane Fist. I meant to switch him back to the Axe. I had him on the Fist, but the Axe does give better variance, but that's all right. I'm not too worried about it. You can give him the Fist or the Axe. If you prefer to do variance rolls, give him the Axe. If you prefer to have a nice, stable damage variance, give him the Fist. All right, so he'll go ahead and do that. That way his 90% break is unlocked for next turn. All right, Cloud is going to go ahead and, actually no, sorry, Cloud is going to do Power to Destroy Nethicite. So I gave him Dethroned Ashes STMR because the boss will do an AoE non-elemental magic attack on this turn unless you seal it. So you can either use Nethicite or you can use Dethroned Ashes STMR, which is, you know, she's a 5-star unit, easy to acquire that. Nicole is just going to do, again, he'll just go ahead and re-up the Shelga and do a double flood. Esther is going to shift, and I should have done this like earlier on, but she'll do Electromagnetic Shield, Boundless Stasis, and then Energizing Bunny. All right, so that hopefully she should have a full LB gauge, hopefully, at the end of this turn. I should have started her so that 2B would have filled up her LB as well, but that should get her nice and filled up. So she's going to Omni cover for the remainder of the fight. She's got the 75% mitigation plus the 75% physical machine mitigation, so she should be pretty good to go. She's going to evade most of the physical attacks anyways, and what little damage she takes shouldn't affect our damage score as long as we don't push the 70% threshold. We can push the 80% threshold, that's fine. We just don't want to push 70% because then it does a big AoE magic nuke, which we don't want to take if we can help it. Definitely make sure Cloud is the last person to go so that you don't accidentally seal any of Nicole's magic, because everything he uses there is magic. So that proton wave there, that's the magic that we sealed using the Power to Destroy Nethicite there. All right, so now on this turn, again, we're trying to make sure we don't do too much damage. It's okay if we push 80% on this one, we just don't want to push 70%. So we'll start with 2B, we'll let her do her LB first things first. All right, Cloud will then do his normal form LB to set up the 40% Greatsword Imperil. Okay, Esther will then shift and do her normal form LB for the LB field. And then Wilk will do his 90% defense break. And this will probably push 80%, but that's fine. Yeah, that is perfectly fine. All right, now Nickel is going to shift. We're going to do True Enhancing Stance for the LB fill. That's for 2B mainly. Elemental Power of Water on 2B. And then True Water Infusion to imbue everybody. Okay, so now everybody will be imbued with water. Because it's important to remember that his Brave Shifted LB does not imbue your party. It only amps your party. So you gotta still imbue everybody. So this is mainly physical attacks, which is why Esther is going to evade all that stuff. She is perfectly ice immune, and obviously she's thunder. She doesn't have to worry about any kind of lightning damage, but it's physical, so she evades it. As you can see, I went kind of overboard on the counters. Dear Lord, I hope we don't push 70%. Oh my Lord, stop. Stop. Good Lord, Esther, you kill me. Alright. Now, she doesn't actually need to do anything except for Calm Before the Storm to set up. Wilk is going to go back to normal and do his Memories of the Ancestral Dragon for the mod boost to his LB. 2B will do Tyvus' Spirit. Chizuru is now done singing, so she can do Tyvus' Spirit. Cloud will shift to his Brave Shift and do Nothing Personal for the mod boost to his LB. Okay, should be good. Alright, Nickel, you can either do his LB or summon. I gave Nickel a bunch of Bahamut synergies to make sure that his Esper gauge is refilled, and there is a chance that it's not full yet on this turn, but it will definitely be full next turn. So if you don't have a full Esper gauge, do his LB here. Otherwise, you can summon. You can do either one. You're either going to use his LB or summon Leviathan on this turn. Either one, doesn't really matter. I'm going to go ahead and summon Leviathan, and then I'll do his LB next turn. Alright, Shining Shock. That's the one attack that... And you can build her for more resistance. I think it's a light attack. Yeah, but it doesn't deal enough damage to affect our score, so you don't have to worry about it. There you go, more counters. Just don't kill the boss, Esther, before we have a chance to do our burst, please. Alright. Alright, so now before we do anything, yeah, go ahead and finish filling up the Esper gauge. Good job. Nickel will do his Brave Shifted LB. Alright, Cloud does LB, Esther does LB. Basically, everybody just does their LB. Make sure you shift Wilk to do his Brave Shifted LB. Make sure you shift 2B and do her LB. Make sure you shift Chizuru and do her LB. I've had a couple of times where I've gotten so repetitive with this that I forget to shift some of these units, and then I end up really screwing the pooch there. Anyone that uses Esther in these kind of situations where you have an Imperil field on the other side, you should know this by now, but in case you don't, always make sure that Esther is the last person in the action queue that gets tapped, or else whoever comes after Esther is not going to be taking advantage of the Imperil field, because she will overwrite the Imperil field, and so she gets to still take advantage of it because the Imperil field doesn't reinitiate until after her damage, but anybody that comes after her will lose that Imperil field, so she has to be the last person in the action queue. So I'm going to tap Cloud first, wait a second, then I'll do 2B Chizuru, and then Wilk and Esther. Alright? You should have, I think, a 120 hit chain. That if you get 120 hits, that's how you know everybody got in there. Hey, that's a new high score for me. All right, 10.4 was my previous high score, so 10.7, that's pretty good. I'm happy with that. All right. Yeah, look at that. A nice even 130. Sweet. Alright, new record. Thank you very much. So perfect on everything else, 130,000 on the damage score. Let's see who were the winners here. Nice. Yeah, so 2B obviously with the 100% water amp, because she is my strongest physical damage dealer that I have. So she obviously got the 100% water amp, so that's why she's doing 4.3 compared to everybody else. Esther and Wilk combined usually do around 2 billion, so they're good for like 2 billion between them two. But they're obviously there more for like their other roles. Like Wilk is more there for the 90% defense break. Esther obviously there doing all the tanking. But you know, they're not slouching on the damage, so 2 billion between them two. Chizuru doing 2.1, Cloud doing 2.4. That's pretty typical for them. They could probably, I think they could go a little higher than that on a high roll, but that's pretty good for them. So I'm happy anytime they do over 2 billion, to be honest with you. And then anytime 2B does over 4 billion, that's a good score for me. All right, so yeah, that's how I got this one done. And that's probably about the best I think I can do. I doubt that's going to move my rank up that much. Yeah, 558. Yeah, so I think there are a lot of Rikku users out there. I think a fire team would probably be the best non-Rikku team. If I had Cleome, Tyvis, and Yish, and Leftia. I don't have Leftia. Leftia is useful because she can do a 100% fire amp to a single target, similar to like Nicole's 100% water amp. And then Cleome has her own 150% fire amp. Tyvis and Ish have their own 150% fire amp, plus they bring the fire Imperil field. That's probably a better team to go with. I think fire is probably the strongest non-Rikku team. But I don't have those units, so this is the best I think I can do. I'm tempted to try a wind team with a jump build Sky. Depends on if I can build her with enough machine killers, but I might try that and see if a jump build Sky and then bringing Ferris, like a crowned Ferris with her wind amps, and Chizuru could use her 100% wind amp. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I might try some other teams and see what I can come up with. But for now, I think that is the best that I can offer. And it's the best I can offer you guys for right now. So if you don't have Rikku, here's a potential strategy to help you guys out. If you do have Rikku, you can ignore this video because you're already doing, you know, double, maybe triple my score. All right, so I think Rikku is starting at like 15 billion and going up to like 30 billion on a really high roll with a really, you know, whaled out team. And what's funny is, honestly, it doesn't even need to be all that whaled out for Rikku. It just depends on the amount of counters that she does. And so if you don't mind just re-rolling for counters, then Rikku is going to be far and away the best strategy for this one. But, you know, if you're like me, you don't have Rikku. So, yep. That's just the way it is. So this is where I'm gonna be happy if I stay in the top 2,000 on this one. Not gonna lie. I don't think I have any chance to be in the top 1,000 since I don't have Rikku. I'll be happy if I stay in the top 2,000 though. We'll just see how it goes. All right. So thank you guys for watching. Hopefully this was helpful to you guys, and I will see you on the other side.